Welcome welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 in 3 out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. We do so many, Brandon. I'm still all 60.
We're not on the preview yet. We're on the recap.
We may want to be, but we're not. We got a job to do, and I'm still just eggnogging away, enjoying my Christmas, and I had a couple days off. Still have a few more days off, so I'm enjoying my time. So before we get to this game, Brandon, which there's a lot to talk about, more importantly, maybe perhaps, how was Christmas? How's the fam? How's it going for you?
It's going well. Yeah. Statue of Liberty, where are we? Here it is. We're doing the recap show, and it's after Christmas, and I'm just happy, as someone said, that even though we lost every team we needed to lose also lost. So
almost
except for the Packers.
The Packers. Them stupid Packers are now, I would even dare say, kind of in the pole position. If they win, which I don't think they might not, they probably get in, is what it boils down to at this point, right? Beat the Vikings at home. Vikings have been weird. Beat Detroit. They always beat Detroit. Hate to start out on that note, but if I were wagering on this, I think the Packers get the 7th seed at this point. Want it to be fake, but I think it's true.
Well, Washington and the Giants could both lose out for the season too, and so we could see that happen. There's so much that could happen over these past 2 weeks. It's gonna be an interesting watch just to see how things play out. And we could talk Seahawks Chiefs, or we could talk about how bad the Ponies got demolished by the Rams, so badly beat that the Broncos fired their head coach on Monday.
Somebody had to fall on that sword, and that somebody was Hackett. Is what it boils down to, right? I mean, like the GM should be the one taking the friggin' taking the hits there. The GM, they made a terrible trade, and I don't really think Hackett's all that bad. He's done some dumb things in a rookie season.
From what we heard with the things that he was saying going into the season about how he was handing it over to the players, and he essentially was absolving himself from any responsibility even before the season started.
Yeah, I hear that. I just go back and watch like how the Packers offense ran under him, and I thought they were good. And maybe it's not the OC, and it's just you have Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams.
LaFleur was actually calling the plays.
Yeah. So exactly, it was so who knows? He's gone. It's there. Who did they even say who the interim is yet? Is there? I'm sure there is somebody stepping in, but who is the interim coach, and why is it Russell Wilson?
I would put my money on it being the defensive coordinator, but I haven't heard.
Yeah, well, after a 50 burger.
I'm not what am I, like Broncos wire?
Maybe, Brandon. I don't know. You do a lot of podcasts nowadays. Well, we will get back to, of course, this Seahawks at Chiefs game. We do want to remind folks that, hey, this is coming at you at the Seahawkers pod, right? So Seahawkers podcast, 5 shows a week. Hey, we're 7 and 8, but whatever. Good times, bad times. We're going to roll with this. And we're going to keep talking Seahawks because it's what we do. And all we ask in return is like the show, subscribe on YouTube. And if you're really getting value from it, then, go to getintheflock.com and become a member so you can join us, join us in the Discord, join us on Facebook for extended Hawkra, because it's a lot of fun. Oh, Nightbot, look at him doing the things.
It's almost like you planned it out just when Nightbot was saying it too.
Nightbot is the MVP of 2022 as far as I'm concerned, kicking out Niners fans and reminding the flock to to get involved in timely manner. So love you, Nightbot. I don't think I've ever said I love told a piece of AI I loved it before, but here I am. It's 2022. So Brandon, I got a couple of observations before we get into this game that won't come up in this I would say fairly quick recap of this game. A couple of observations for me were, number one, Willie Gay destroyed us. Number 50, absolutely wrecked the game. Even more so that we don't have a Chris Jones, we do not have a Frank Clark, and we don't have a Willie Gay. So they might not have a great defense, but they had 3 better players on defense than we had on the field, and it showed. Willie Gay was everywhere, and then we don't have a dude like Frank Clark. We haven't had a dude like Frank Clark since we traded Frank Clark. Just super aggressive. He's as disruptive
okay.
as it gets.
I
I
just,
mean, who is it? Who's the dude?
I don't know.
Who's the
I
dude?
feel like Nuosu is better than Frank Clark.
Nope.
Okay.
Different levels of intensity. Nuos is a good football player, and it just and I think we will
I would
see.
rather have 75% Nuosu than Frank Clark, but that's me.
Wow, 70. Wow, that's some math right there. Listen, with the contracts that they got and stuff like that, I'm not poo-pooing the trade we made years ago. That's water under the bridge. It's just the veracity the dude plays with he's intense, man. He is intense and he brings it still. I always liked him when he was a Seahawk. I was bummed when we did trade him, and having him show out was not the coolest thing in the world to see. The other piece for me that
Did
we're
he have
not
a great game? I
oh,
guess
he had
he
a very
didn't.
good game. He had a
Okay.
very man. Oh man, he's everywhere. He is He's either in Gino's face or he's crashing down the line to get Walker 2 yards deep. Or no, he had a very, very good game. And the other dude that I want to call out that didn't make the ins and outs. I just think Miles Adams continues to play good football. Yes, he's undersized. Yes, a couple times Creed Humphreys has him, but Miles is like quick enough to like get back into the play. He's not washed. It's like, all right, we know you're undersized. And they're putting in the 3-4, they put him straight up as a nose tackle. That's probably not appropriate for his size. And even though he doesn't win often at the point of contact, he is quick enough. You still see that quickness come out, and he played pretty well. So I've been enjoying the additional Miles Adams snaps. And I don't think it's been to our detriment. I think he's been holding up pretty darn good, which I think is just a positive sign for that young man. But those are a couple of observations before we get into the nitty gritty. Anything for you that stood out, or any of those things that you want to chime in on yourself there, Brandon?
This could be a rough show because I feel like I'm in disagreement with almost everything you've said to go into this show.
Well, I think we agreed that Willie Gay
Frank
was.
Clark had 2 tackles on the day. Looking at the pressure stats, not saying that Pro Football Focus is 100% because they got a bunch of other stuff wrong that I was looking at, but
they watch every play, every step.
Frank Clark 0 pressures on the day, so and 2 tackles. That to me is unremarkable. Whereas Chris Jones, they have 9 pressures. I'm sure we'll talk about him more. Carlos Dunlap had 3 pressures on the day, and that was with 50. He was on the field a pretty good number, 54 snaps on the day. So
more than we used to use him. But no, I mean, and Chris Jones is just football becomes pretty darn simple. The more I think this season was it's not that it's over, but as emblematic of a Pete Carroll's philosophy of how you want to play football, spot on. Absolutely. That's how you win. And I don't think it's been more glaring to us as Seahawks fans, at least for me, that whether or not we make the playoffs this year, we'll see. We'll see how that crumbles.
Jason Turner in the chat said we're making the playoffs. He said playoffs, here we come.
Let's go. I am team Edward, or maybe that's team the other guy, Jacob. I don't care what team it is that represents us, but I am team. Let's still make the playoffs without a doubt. The thing is, going into this offseason, I don't think to me, it's like super clear. It's like, what does this team need? Very, very clear, which is cool. It's like there are a couple of things that you could solve with draft picks, high draft picks, or free agency, and they're like really clear this year. That's at least okay. It's not all over the map. It's actually pretty focused.
And so Jen in the chat here saying, is it the Adams is looking really good because our D-line is so bad, just doing subpar, you look good? And this was the other thing that you mentioned with Miles Adams. Yes, Miles Adams played adequately and yes, in relief of Al Woods seemingly at that nose position.
Tough.
And he was fine. I think if we were playing a team that hammered the run up the middle consistently, it would have been different, but the Chiefs played into our strength or not obsessing over our weakness, and it ended up being an okay day for Miles. And I love Miles Adams, so
sure, of course, friend of the pod.
Yeah,
no, totally get it.
I'm not going to say anything bad.
No, and I think he's better suited in probably in a 4-3. Anyway, that's just where he doesn't have to play nose tackle at his size. That just doesn't probably make a lot of sense. But I think he's playing pretty well, which is fun to see. So, and maybe Soja might be right. I thought the D line was okay. not getting a lot of pressure. It was okay. Got some pressure. And, I didn't talk about this in the ins and outs. We didn't blitz much, but the couple times we did, Cody Barton flew through the A gap and that created Taylor's sack. So another one of those things. I don't know what the numbers said. I remember the week before we blitzed twice. I don't know how many times we sent the blitz this time. It wasn't a lot. And it made sense. The numbers tell you don't blitz Mahomes.
Right.
So it's not like there's nothing to say about that. But when we did blitz, at least that one time, I think Brooks was sent on a blitz and got picked up nicely by the running back. And I know that Barton was sent on the blitz and he got through the A, and that's how Taylor got around the edge and got that sack.
That must have been the one time, because the numbers I'm seeing say one blitz.
One blitz. Oh, hey, you go 1 for 1. I guess never try it again,
3%.
right? So
see, you got on them for only doing 7, and they have that number with a blitz percentage of 3.2.
There we go. So we have that. But our efficiency is through the roof with blitzes. Look at that. Our efficiency. Yeah. So last week we went 1 for 2. This week we went 1 for 1. Maybe next week versus Mike White and the Jets at home, who interesting team, the wildly fluctuating team and very dependent on their quarterback. So we get the better quarterback. So that'll be fun. But maybe we could blitz Mike White a little more than we did Mahomes. We shall see. With that, Brandon, we got some ins, we got some outs. Yeah. You know where we got to start. I don't even want to talk about where we got to start. I will say this as foreshadowing. The out that we're going to go with first starts dang early in this game, and I wasn't happy about it. So let's whammy it. Let's get to the ins, the outs, the ins, and let's do this, would you? Starting right away. We come out, we defer. Okay, team defer. All good. I could be back on that train, especially when we stop the Chiefs and they go 3 and out. I'm good. Chiefs are punting the ball. Q1, 14-15 to go. So we're 45 seconds into the game. Yes, it's 0-0. This particular play, Brandon, I don't get. Remember when we were growing up, what was like the imaginary line or the line that was like, if you are behind this, don't fair catch the ball. Do you remember that? Like just basically, what was that?
Was it
what
the 10?
It used to be the 10, right? Used to be the 10, which I understand, kickers get better, punters get better, et cetera, but even back in the day, you had still like Sean Landetta and the coffin corner kids, like they were skilled. It wasn't like punters stunk. Maybe they're more skilled and more specialized now. Fine. When I see it's DJ Dallas, but when I see DJ Dallas going back on a ball like Willie Mays Hayes, and he's catching a ball while planting his right back foot because he's still going backwards at the 6-yard line where there's only one gunner. It's like do one of two things. Don't catch it at the 6, let it just bounce out. Okay. Or just take your chances. Who cares? The 2, the 6, really, who cares? Just let it bounce. Or you got one gunner to beat. Don't fair catch it. You got to take your chance, roll the dice. Yeah. I prefer the former, by the way. He does neither. He fair catches the ball at the 6, and it puts us in like an immediate friggin' hole. Yeah. I was just pissed. I don't get it. Don't they practice that? Are they not in tune that you're at the 5-yard line essentially? Let the ball friggin' bounce. Get out of the way. And I think it set us up for early non-success, Brandon.
It would have worked out okay, except on the very next play, it was a ticky-tack holding call that gave the Seahawks a penalty, whereas I think Walker would have had a first down on that very first run, right?
He was like 20, 30 yards down. It was a good run. It was a very good run.
Walker would have bailed out DJ Dallas.
Agree. Does it, this is 3 and 3 out, right?
It doesn't excuse the
ball could have been at the 20 also, or the 2. I recognize the ball could have darted out of bounds or been downed at the 1. That's possible. I would put it at very unlikely on a frigid day like that. With that, you're right. Metcalf is kind of turning a dude. He gets called for, he gets under his pads a little bit, gets called for a fairly light, but hold at, it's always like when the dude breaks away at the last second. And if you still got a tug on him a little bit, They're going to
was
call it.
the lightest of tugs, though. Now,
I'm with you on the ticky-tacky.
I don't quite understand why DK ran to the inside
Weird,
to
right?
grab and pull him the
Yeah.
outside guy this way. Like, DK is big enough. Just bowl over the dude on the edge and push him inside and open up that complete edge. I don't understand the blocking strategy there.
Like, he literally is big enough to, we always joke about being like an orange cone. Well, he's the biggest freaking orange cone out there, right? So like, if he just gets in the way, the dude's not getting through him. But Walker he's gone. He has that time. He's around the bend easily anyway. Yeah, it was kind of weird that he was inverted. He was facing the other way. It's like, why would he be over there? Kind of weird. One other play in this sequence too. So we get the hold, which is whatever, backs at half the distance, not the end of the world, that it's 2nd and 12, whatever. But on that 2nd and 12 play, we have, I think, an incomplete pass, or it goes for 1 yard to DK after that. Yeah. And then the next play, we try to run the ball. This is, man, D-Lou, it's to me, he pulls. It is such a low, it's Willie Gay being the star of the game. This Damian Lewis play sort of jammed two outs into the first one to start, but at 13-15, D-Lou pulls. It is one of the lowest efforts I've ever seen from Damian Lewis in my life. He's coming around the corner slowly, it looks like. I know it's cold out there. And he tries to engage Willie Gay, who's a linebacker, a good one. And Gay just sheds him so quickly and then just stuffs Walker. The effort just was not there. So out of the gate, I was like, the mentals and the chickens were not alive for me, Brandon. I was not having a good time early in this game, man. Don't know if there's anything else for you.
No, that's all I think we have to say about that.
Okay. All right. So 2 outs, a big deal. Oreo double stuff.
Wait, does that mean that we only have to do 1 more out?
No. No, we got more. Hit the whams. All right. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. All right, here we are. So
it is 3 in, 3 out, not 3 in, 4 out.
I know. Well, you know what? When we go 1 and 5 in our last 6, we deserve a little scolding at this point. Is my take. This was good, and this is good. I am happy. Let's put it that way. That this guy to me keeps coming up, and he's a rookie, and he's not named Tariq Woolen. And he's not one of our corners. I mean, one of our tackles. So Q1, 45 seconds to go. Kansas City's got the ball on their own 33-yard line. It's already 7-0 KC. It's a 2nd and 7. Mahomes in shotgun. Pacheco's in the backfield, I think offset left. And we're in a 3-4. Adams is a nose tackle. Shelby Harris beats his dude, like takes him down the line. And who I want to highlight on this particular play, again, 45 seconds to go Q1, is Boye Mafe. Mafe, again, beats his dude, sets the edge, comes in, makes a tackle. It's a gain for 2. And it's like, okay, well, it's 1 play for Boye Mafe. But my point, Brandon, is it's not. Like, I think at this point of the season, at 7 and 8, he should be on the field significantly more than Bruce Irvin and not the other way around. I'm not sure. I felt like he had more snaps this game than last game. I think he has become, with Nuosu, by far our second best run defender. He had a couple of more plays this game where he's the dude. He's standing dudes up. He's a good edge defender. The other side of his game, okay, he can work on that. Let's get some time with Cliff Averill in the offseason. But his run defense has been darn good, and I want to call it out and shout it from the rooftops that Mafe's playing pretty well, man. And for the rookie who gets like totally no coverage out of all of our rookies, I think this is the right show to be like, he's playing pretty well. So Mafe, first in. What do you say?
Do you want to know who's like Frank Clark, except 1 tackle better? It's Boye Mafe.
Nice. See that? He's 50% better.
Day. He led the team in terms of run defense grade by PFF standards with an 83.6. He was on the field for 20 snaps, Bruce Irvin 23. So, yeah, they're right there at 50-50. And on this play, I don't know if you remember who he was blocking, but it was
Kelsey.
Or was it Jimmy Graham? Because I saw about the level of Jimmy Graham effort like Travis Kelce. So.
That's good. And Kelsey is typically pretty good, though. He's not just a dude who could just catch. He's actually a good all
He's
around
going to be
tight
pretty
end,
good.
right?
That was a pretty low effort block for Mafe to get down there and make the tackle. But I like the call out because it was for the time that Mafe was on the field, and I could definitely see them wanting to get him more snaps over the next couple games. Bruce Irvin, we don't really, in terms of which guy is going to be have like more of a future for the Seahawks, it's going to be Boye Mafe.
Yeah, I mean, Irvin's done a nice job. We applaud it. We love Bruce Irvin. It's good, and just the culture aspects, all good there. Like not trying to shoot the guy off the field. And with that, Bruce is 35, right? And Mafe is what, 24, 25? I know he was an older rookie. Yeah, just let's play the youngins and let the chips fall where they may. And but I think again, 50-50 is an okay split. Now, can we see it at 60-40 or even 65-35? We'll see. I think it's time they do more of that. Mafe did have an okay rush during the game too. I'm not sure if it got, if it counted as a
it didn't hit the pressure stats.
Yeah, pressure. Here. But there was one where I thought he got pretty good pressure. But again, that's the part of his game. I think you could literally work on technique and things like that. Whereas like setting the edge and being a sound tackler, I'm just impressed. I'm happy to report I think he's working out quite nicely. We have to see, because we've had some, Naz Jones comes to mind, right? And I think who was it? Corey was asking in the thread, what is up with Alton Robinson? I forget. Did he get injured early this year?
Yeah, he got hurt.
He did, right? Yeah.
I think he's on injured reserve. Yeah,
he got hurt early in the year, right? Very early, right before it started. So hopefully he can bounce back too, because he was promising as well. So, it's I think as we start to maybe look at next year, again, regardless of the next 2 weeks, it's like, all right, our defensive ends are okay. And if we could probably go after, a big one in the draft potentially. But between Mafe and Nwosu, that's okay. It's a decent upgrade from where we were last year to this year. And it's a position that, I think we could look elsewhere in the draft, and I wouldn't be mad. Defensive tackle, offensive guard, center, things of that nature. Wouldn't be mad whatsoever if we didn't go defensive end because we have to get an edge guy. It's like, maybe, but if the other positions were better, maybe those guys would be good enough. So
I would be mad if we didn't come out of the draft with an edge guy.
Okay. Well, I mean, we got a lot of picks, right? So we're going to have a lot of picks. I guess it's more like, do we, and we have plenty of time to talk about that. Do we anticipate do you want them to take one with one of the top four, our top four picks?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. I'm seeing some other positions where I would be okay if they don't. And that really depends on if the defensive tackle is sitting there for us with Carter or not. That's going to be the big twist for us, I think. So
it would depend on how the draft board fell, I suppose. To if they didn't get somebody with the top four, but yeah, I'd have to see how that worked out. But going in, that's what I want.
Okay. I mean, again, we have plenty of time to talk about it, but I could be very, very happy if we center, guard, a linebacker, and a defensive tackle, if those were the four. But of course, there's free agency, right? So we got to see who the heck's out there. How do you plug in through free agency with one or two of those, so you get a little bit more freedom, and it's not just like check the box with your picks and you can go best player available. So plenty to talk about. Season's not dead yet, so let's stop talking draft unless we're talking Broncos pick, our pick. But let's hit that button. Let's get back to an out. But anyway, Mafe, good job. Okay, we got some more not so good jobs here. I'm going to talk about Gino. We don't talk about Bruno, Brandon, but we talk about Gino. I'm going to talk on a little foreshadowing. I'm going to talk Gino back to back. This is a true sober yin, raging yang right here. And I'll conclude.
Give him the out, then you're going to wipe the slate clean by giving him an in next.
That's
so
right.
That way you're telling me right now, so I don't get too mad at you for calling Gino out. Although there's probably a few outworthy plays that I could guess where you might be going.
Well, this might be one of them. And after we do the out and the in, because it will both be about Gino, I do want to maybe have a small conversation with you and the flock just about, the thoughts on Geno as it stands right now versus a couple of weeks ago at this point, because that seems to be a very hot topic in the Seahawks dumb right now.
Mhm.
All right. So this particular one, Brandon, Q3 14-15. So we get the 3 points going into halftime. Okay. That was our challenge all week. We couldn't really punch it in the red zone. We get the 3 points. Okay. We get the ball back. This is that third down, right? So at our own 29-yard line. Yeah, it's a third down play. Geno's in shotgun. He got trips left. This is the one where he steps up in the pocket and it's like a 3rd and 6. He has all sorts of daylight. It's very, very evident that if he just takes the ball and tucks and runs, he's probably got an easy 7 to 8 yards with a move or two and a slide, maybe even 10 to 12 yards. Decides to try a pass down the seam to Marquise Goodwin, who is open. He's open, and he would have gotten down to the Chiefs 45. So it's not like he tried to fit a ball in there that was not fittable. He misses just by a bit. It was an okay pass, maybe could have been caught, but would have been a great catch, right? In that moment at 17-3, where we had so many challenges just moving the chains in the first half, he's gotta just go move the friggin' chains with his feet. Such a missed opportunity, but I had to call it out as a big, big out because we gave the ball right back to the Chiefs. And although our defense played pretty darn good in the second half, we needed to put points on the board in that drive to get back in. Huge missed opportunity. Got to be an out for me.
Yeah, if you get a score on this drive, then you're right back in it. And maybe you're not even going for a touchdown in this situation because it's 17-3. Maybe you drive down, maybe you get a field goal just to make it that much closer.
Yep.
It's early on in the third quarter, so probably no need to try and chase points, the extra points if you go for it on 4th down. But yeah, this is also the play where Marquise Goodwin got hurt on. So it was low and outside just a little bit, and Goodwin was going to the ground to try and catch it. And that's where he hurt his wrist and ended up having to come out of the game. So yeah, if the ball's maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit, more to the inside, maybe Goodwin's able to catch and run with it, and it ends up being a big play. But yeah, all Geno has to do is essentially walk forward for the first. He probably had 20 yards, really, if he decided to pull the ball down and run it there.
You never kind of know who's just off screen, right? Because you can't. And the all 22 wasn't up, so I couldn't see it fully.
I saw a replay that had a good view of. He had a good 10 yards of space.
Yeah. So I mean, just doing the math, they're out there on 29, right? So to get 6, then you're at the 35. And if we're saying he's got at least 10, maybe 15, well, darn, man, you're at the 45-yard line. You're at the 45 with the ball with momentum, and you got a first down. It's a shot he did not need to take. And we've had our challenges, and just as a QB right now, it's got to be about moving those chains. Has to be. So, and the thing is, guess what, man? We don't finish the season against bad defenses. In fact, it's the exact friggin' opposite. I realize people in Seattle don't watch a lot of Jets. I do. I end up watching quite a bit of Jets. They could play friggin' defense. And if the Rams come out and do what they did and play that way against the Broncos, they're going to be fired up. They play that way against the Broncos and Cam Akers is going off. We got some work cut out for us, Brandon.
Yeah, it could be a tough couple of games to end the season. And so we do need Geno Smith in top decision-making form. And this was, unfortunately, one of the not so good decisions from the game against the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. But I want to get right back to a nice moment for Geno, maybe even an odd one. And I want to talk to you about, like, where are you right now in the Geno 23 talk? Because Twitter is all a flutter with Seahawks discussion about this, and I've got a take. So let's whammy it, and we'll talk soon. Well, maybe we'll talk right now. And Corey, thank you, Corey, coming in with the live support here, the super chat $4.99. Corey saying Jalen Carter is hard not to dream about in a Seahawks uniform. Clinton, that's exactly right. That's to me, that's the dude. And for those who don't know, that's the defensive tackle from Georgia. I think he wears number 88, right? Which is kind of an interesting number for a giant defensive tackle. And he's the game wrecker. It's always like, you never know, Brandon, if it's like, okay, that's the next Aaron Donald or now the next Chris Jones. You never know. You can't project that. However, the disruptive defensive tackle who's best in breed at a ridiculously great college, pedigree, playing the best talent in the country week in, week out, and dominating. I mean, yes, please. I don't know, Brandon, if you have other allusions or other thoughts on who you want for sure, or if that's your guy. If we get a chance at 2 or 3, also.
I'm still going to take some time to look at it. He's obviously, I mean, it's hard coming out of the game against the Chiefs not to imagine someone like Carter being in the middle of the Seahawks defense after we just got done watching Chris Jones and some of the things he was doing to Gabe Jackson. And that would be, I would like a guy like that.
Yeah, me too. It'll be fun. We shall see how the rest of the year breaks out here. Luckily, without saying too much, the Broncos have a difficult schedule to end the year, right? They got to play the Chiefs and then play the Chargers, and it looks like the Chargers will have a lot to play for. Hopefully it's not hopefully they still have to go win to get in. That'd be ideal. And then there's the other teams, right? Even tonight, go Colts. I doubt they win, but go Colts. Last night, freaking Cardinals blowing the 10-point lead versus Brady and the Bucks. That would have been cool. But it's okay as long as the Broncos, keep doing what they're doing. We hope they do. I read today, I think,
some Chargers to close out the season, and they're it's not the defensive coordinator that's going to be an interim coach. It was another coach on the staff whose name I forget. I looked it up when you said it earlier on the show. I've now forgotten the name already.
Gotcha. Very cool. All right, we got Tommy here.
And I live in Georgia. I watch him play every week. Talking about Jalen Carter. He is Cortez Kennedy, not Aaron Donald, which Cortez Kennedy, hey, that's one name where, that people say pick somebody from the former Seahawks history that you want to play on the team now. And I don't think you can ever say that Cortez Kennedy doesn't improve the defense. Even when we were in the Legion of Boom era, there was what one player from Seahawks history would you add to the Legion of Boom? It would be Cortez Kennedy, and it would have improved that defense.
Oh yeah, I mean, because the Mebane and the belly roll, that was good. There were some dogs there. Yeah. And imagine if you had Cortez Kennedy. You
could add Kenny Easley, but you're taking Cam Chancellor or Earl Thomas off.
No. You would add Tez, and it's a lovely thought. And they are different, right? They're Tommy's saying it, but obviously Tez is similar to Donald. And with that, hey, those are both both those dudes are wearing gold jackets, right? So if that's Jalen Carter's projection, by all means, let's get lots of that, which would be nice. All right, so Brandon, I did promise a in for Gino. So this in now is Q2, 55 seconds to go. We're still down 17-0. We know this ends in a field goal. So you're like, what the hell are you talking about, Clint? Seattle's at Kansas City's 18-yard line. And this is Gino in shotgun. Walker is set to his left. DK's, it's a little tight formation. DK is furthest to the left, but not too far out either. This is the particular play where DK barely misses the touchdown because he kind of jumps for no good reason, leaves his feet. Maybe he thought it was going to be a little higher. Maybe he forgot he was 6'4".
Remember, this is the end section that we're not giving an out to DK Metcalf.
It's not an out. DK played a good game. Not an out to DK.
We've already passed our 3-out allotment for the day.
Correct. What I want to focus on this particular play and later the touchdown to Fant also is look at these friggin' balls from Gino.
It was a dart.
I mean,
dart to the back of the end zone.
So when people, I guess I will put the in is to that throw, but it's because it encapsulates and magnifies, in my opinion, that the tape still doesn't lie. If you give Gino a shred of a pocket and a little bit of time, he's still freaking deadly good. He's deadly good. When the pocket completely collapses and we can't boot to save our life anymore because there's no respect for the run game, well, yeah, it gets hard on any quarterback. And right now it's hard on Geno Smith. And he's still playing, in my opinion, I rewatched it just an hour ago, very high caliber football. that was very emblematic of the types of throws he's still making, Brandon. So my take is, no, man, Geno's still our dude. You don't need to spend any of this high draft capital, any of it, on a quarterback. Franchise him, figure it out for a 2 to 3 year deal. And I think it was Ron Pepper that said earlier in the thread that, hey, maybe this losing streak actually makes him a little more approachable from a contract standpoint. And maybe that is a silver lining. So Brandon, what's your take? Where are you now on the feeling of Geno this year? And as we start to look ahead to 23?
I'm right on board with what you said as far as maybe you don't need to give Geno a long-term contract at this point, but franchise tag him and then see how the draft plays out, maybe. And that way, by franchise tagging him, maybe he doesn't sign the franchise tag right away. That's fine. He can go throughout the offseason, but it would buy you time to the draft to see how that plays out. Hey, if there's somebody that Schneider loves that falls to them, either with the pick from the Broncos, or shoot, if they end up losing these next 2 games and they're in the top, like right now, they're at the number 12 draft position,
right?
Which is incredible. And it could put you in that position to where you don't have to trade up a whole lot to get back into the top 10. Maybe another quarterback falls in the top 10 that you like. You can pick them up there. And then you have whether or not you like them for the future, or maybe you want to compete them against Geno for a year. That franchise tag can be beneficial in that way. It buys you more time without having to go long-term. And so I think that's where I'm at right now. Just based on how things go. Now, maybe that could change if they end up getting these next 2 wins. Maybe Geno gets you a playoff win. Then sign Geno to a 2-3 year deal. Like Ron and some of the others in chat were saying, Corey Coleman saying, 2 to 3 year contract, $25 million average. That would be great. I think it's got to be more likely in the 30s, but
me too.
We'll see.
Yeah. And the 30s makes sense because you and Adam have talked about it previously, that the what's that thing called you just mentioned where you get to take you get the guy for the year. What's it?
The franchise tag.
The franchise. I was just completely.
Tommy's got it up on the screen. We franchise tag him even if we plan to trade him. That's another option.
And the franchise tag, is going to be 30-something million, right? That's how the math works out, I believe. So
it's the average of the top 5 salary cap charges.
Right. So it's in the 30s. So I think that's, I think both teams are it's kind of nice because both teams are it boxes in a little bit, but I don't think Geno would take a 2 or 3 year in the 25 range unless we really were like, hey, it's 75 million, all guaranteed, sign right now. And then, but the Seahawks haven't really done that in the past. Right. So, so it'll be interesting, but we have a long off season that we're not even thinking about yet because we got more ball to play, and it's meaningful football, which is still pretty darn cool. Heading into January with this year, we're supposed to win 2 to 3 games, four tops. We're still looking at having a winning season and making a playoff push. But I see enough game in, game out. I'll end it with this part, Brandon, that he's still playing darn good. Even in that friggin' play, by the way, Gabe Jackson, and now it's Chris Jones, and Chris Jones is a monster. Gabe Jackson is on his ass. He's about to run into Geno's knees, and Geno still makes that particular throw to DK. Give Geno a little bit of time, a little bit of cleanliness. He's still darn good, man. So I just want
to, since we turned an out into 2 outs earlier, how about maybe a slight into Ken Walker for as he's going out to leak out to give Geno another little outlet. I felt like he brushed the back of Gabe Jackson just enough to give him a little bit of extra cushion as Chris Jones was plowing through the line. So just, a micro in to Ken Walker.
The slimmest of micro ins to Ken Walker. Why not already? All right, we got another out, one more in. Let's whammies. Let's whammy. Well, it feels good to give ins. Feels good to say Geno's still playing good football. All right, this one. There's a reason. I'll just say there's a reason this dude has had a challenge staying on NFL rosters is what it boils down to. Little foreshadowing. Q3, 34 seconds to go. Once again, I mean, we didn't have problems between the 20s, or really between the 30s is really more accurate. We're at KC's 29, it's 3rd and 7. We're down 17-3. Again, Geno shotgun. We ran the ball out of shotgun a lot. We were not under center much at all. But it's a 3rd and 7 play, and it's a run to K9, and I'm fine with that because it's clearly 4 down territory, clearly. So it's like, and we're running the ball at that point, which was cool. It's like, okay, go get 5 yards since 4th and 2. We know we're going for it. Who cares? Go run the ball again. We're running the ball effectively at that point. This particular play, Laquon Treadwell, he just has to get a little bit of either a kick out or a seal on number 35, James Watson on KC. He does neither. And the play is so well set up that if he just gets a little bit of a body on Watson, I have high confidence K9's going to make the move depending on what he does or doesn't do, or which way he takes the block. He tries to bounce it outside. Number 35 makes a nice open field tackle. Credit where due on the tackle. Treadwell also had another series later where he was in no man's land, like not blocking. I know he's new. I know it's tough. And with that, can't like Bo Melton or somebody else in the practice squad come up and be a bit more effective in the run game right now? Disappointment with Treadwell. I realize he's churned through a lot of teams, Brandon, but it's like, I don't think he's long for our team after seeing that also. He's going to wear it out. Fair or unfair, I'm not sure what you say, but crucial moment, can't get a body on a dude. There's a reason he has not been a success in the NFL, in my opinion.
I would absolutely give him the out on this. This play set up so well for this run by Walker because Nick Bolton, he came up to the line like he was blitzing, but then he bails out. And instead of bailing out to the right, he bails out to the left, or the right side of the Seahawks offense.
Yep.
And so their defense is heavily shading the right side of the Seahawks offense, leaving that entire left side wide open for Walker to run it. And all Treadwell has to do is get in the way of the most outside player. Yep. And then Walker only has the safety to beat on that run. He beats the safety. That's a touchdown on that play. So, yeah, Treadwell, all he has to do. Now, this is what I wonder. Is this a coaching issue, though? Because we talked about the DK block earlier, where he ran inside and then kind of pulled the defensive back this way. It looked like Treadwell was taking that same route. Like he was going inside to do kind of the pull block. And maybe they do that because it's less likely to be called by the officials, because if you get on their shoulder pads and you pull, it's not going to create a tug on the jersey. But yeah, why don't you just stay on the outside shoulder and get in the way of where the runner is going to go? That, I don't know. I suppose maybe you have some flexibility to either push out or pull in as the receiver, but that I don't know. It seemed real weird to me after watching this play and then going back to that other play where DK got flagged on.
I watched it probably, just you do the 10-second rewind and 10-second rewind. I probably watched it like 8 or 9 times, trying to be like, well, what's he thinking? Doing? Yeah. Why that? And my conclusion was like, maybe it's just that Ken Walker is the jump cut. Like he himself is not predictable. So you have an unpredictable, this is what the rationale I came up with in my head. So it's just a theory, right? It's like, he's an unpredictable back, a little bit of that Barry Sanders in him. And you got Treadwell that just doesn't have a relationship with K9. And that's possible. Doesn't explain the DK one.
No.
So your theory is also a good one. It was very evident to me. All he had to do was kind of get the seal on the outside. And then you got Walker downfield, head of steam against the safety with an easy first down. And so that was frustrating, man. So there was a lot. And you and Adam talked about this too. Years ago, when I was writing the articles for 3 and 3 Out, I was talking about there would be the red zone, and I would talk about the Seahawks having a problem in the dead zone. And the dead zone was like the 35 to the 20. And the last couple of weeks, man, that stupid dead zone is killing us, where we just can't get that big play down the seam or something like that, where other teams like that's the seam play. You bust into the 15-yard line with the seam pass to your tight ends, and then you're in your red zone offense, your goal line offense. It's been a bit of a heartache lately. I chalk it up to Treadwell not having understanding of Walker, but like I said, is there not somebody else out there at this point on the roster that could do a better job run blocking when we need him to?
I don't understand why Derek Young can't be on the
Correct.
field more. Why does Treadwell come in as an unproven guy on the team and get 7 targets straight out of the gate?
Yep.
That makes very little sense to me in terms of the way that Pete Carroll has operated in the past, and just talent-wise, I guess I'm not sold on Treadwell and his, however many teams that he's played for.
The only thing the rationale I would provide to that, I don't think it's the correct decision. I would like to see Derek Young. I think we talked about this when the Seahawks went into the draft. They took Melton, and Melton was more of the Lockett clone, and they took Derek, and Derek was more the DK backup. Body wise and route tree wise. Okay, all good. So I think they look at Treadwell and be like, all right, he's more the Lockett part. DK's healthy. Lockett, of course, is banged up. To me, that's the why. But again, then it's like, well, then where's Bo Melton? Like we don't know. I don't know what's happening in the practice squad. I'm not sitting there. I don't know what's up. But a dude off the street with Treadwell, not good enough. Not good enough. Like to see more Derek, and we shall see. Any word, by the way, tomorrow being Tuesday, I don't think any word yet. I mean, Lockett, perfect surgery. We know the dude's going to want to come back. Any word yet, or any gut you think about? Do you think Lockett makes it back for this game?
For the Jets, I just feel like that would be difficult.
Pretty crazy, right?
I haven't listened to, normally on Monday, Pete Carroll does the Pete Carroll show on the radio. I haven't heard yet. If there's any hints on that, we probably even won't know for sure until the first Wednesday practice report to see what Tyler's status is on that. And then we'll have, I think, a little bit better idea of where there might be some flexibility there.
All right. Well, it's gonna be a big topic. Obviously, we hope he can come back. He definitely changes the team, and we got a bit of a one last in here. Let's whammy it, and we'll just say there's a bit of a comeback kid that showed out a bit on Sunday. So let's whammy. I'll get right to it, Brandon. We've been a little long in the tooth of this one. I don't mind. We still got the From the Flock, of course, which we're gonna get into. This to me was Stone Forsythe. It wasn't a particular play. The touchdown to Fant, nice job there. Some of the runs to the right-hand side with whether K9 broke it back to the left or continued around the right-hand side, Forsythe played well. And this is not a, hey, we need to use him instead of Abe Lucas. That's actually not the question I want to put out there. Like in the NFL draft process, there's always like hey, this guy's a tackle, like EJ talks about this a ton. This guy's a tackle, but it really projects better as a guard. That happens a lot if you listen to the dudes who really know the draft stuff. Yep, he's a tackle on Purdue, blah, blah, blah. But, you move him inside, and he's got all the skill sets in the world to be a really good guard. We got our tackles. They've had their ups and downs, but overall, they've had a good year, both of them. What do you think about Forsythe's future here? Our guards are a problem. What do you think? Could he, if he's playing okay as a tackle, I know it's limited time, is that a dude who could kick inside later? And just what'd you think about his game, on Sunday?
He didn't jump out to me as playing outstanding or necessarily terrible, so it was kind of right in that range to where maybe you don't notice him a ton. So I guess that's good. I think that he's probably going to be a guy who's just a fine backup style tackle, and hopefully you don't need to see him a whole lot. And when you do, he can come in and not give up a whole lot. So if he were going up against somebody that I was really concerned about on the Chiefs on the outside there, then it wasn't like he was going up against Chris Jones consistently. So
right.
I think that I'll wait and see on Forsythe, and I'm just happy that let's see. In terms of pressure numbers, did he
I
give
thought
up a ton of pressure? I don't know.
I don't think it was a ton of pressure. There were a few, it seemed to be still a few breakdowns, whether or not he was in there or if it was still Lucas, but a lot of times again, it was coming up the gut anyway. Right.
3 hurries. He gave up 3 hurries on 25 pass blocking snaps, it says.
Okay. So, and I'm intrigued by the play. I'm not jumping to any conclusions or trying to get hyperbolic with like Forsythe's, half a
No.
game.
Yeah.
I just thought it was showing and he played pretty well. And we seemed to run the ball pretty good. End of last year, when it was, Jake Curran was on the field a lot and Forsythe was on the field quite a bit. And Haynes was on the field quite a bit at the end of last year, and we would run the ball well. And obviously, we got Penny a nice it helped Penny get a nice $5 million contract. The last 5 weeks were insane last year. Maybe is what it boils down to, that the Jets are tough to pass against. The DJ Reed and Sauce, they lock it down. They're going to be difficult to pass the ball against. So we need to run. So it'll be interesting to see. There we go, Jason. I like Jason just chiming in live saying Forsythe at center would be something. I just wonder if it's what is Forsythe? 6'8",
6'8", I think.
Right? Yeah. So it's like one of those dudes where they're like, yeah, you're way too big. Dudes will, too tall. Folks will get under you, and that's not great for a center or maybe even a guard, right? Usually you want that length on the outside, right. And that's why it can be difficult to be a guard at 6'8". But I did see some good footwork. I saw a dude he looked capable. And that was encouraging. Any word on Abe, by the way? I'm not even sure. Like, again, I had to do something on Christmas Eve. So I watched half the game and I rewatched it today. Why did Abe go out?
The little bit I heard about Abe is it sounded like it may be more serious than they initially thought.
Yeah.
And yeah, Pete Carroll on his Monday injury updates, he's always super positive.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a wait and see type thing, but it is a patella tendon injury for Lucas. All
right. Well, hopefully it's not a tear, just a strain, but still anything in the patella is typically usually it's a few weeks, just because that could be a gnarly area. You don't want any of your TLs or your CLs or anything like that strained or torn. And you know what? If he is dinged, and it's the right thing to do is to give Abe 2 weeks off at the end of the year, and then maybe he's back in the playoffs if we make it or not, I'm fine with that. He's been good. He's had a good rookie year, and that's okay versus risking literal life and limb or just limb to jump back in. I'm okay. I mean, obviously if he can go, but it's cool. If he needs to rest and call it a rookie season, maybe not the worst thing.
With his toughness, he seems like a guy that if he's allowed to go and can go, he will.
Yep. Agree. Well, we are allowed to go, Brandan, and we can go to our favorite section, From the Flock. So why don't we hop on over to that? We had some great contributions from all over the different places. And before we do it, can you remind the folks, how can they get involved with this wonderful show and all the shows we put out on the Seahawkers podcast stream?
Yeah, if you want to get involved, for one, you could become a member at getintheflock.com if you become a member at $3 and above. And you can become a member of our Discord group. So $3 a month gets you into the Discord. We have a 3 in, 3 out channel. You can leave your ins and your outs there. Or if you just want to comment out on Twitter at Clinton Bond, use the hashtag 3i30. And we're going to be reading some of those coming up too.
Yes. All right. We will start this week on Twitter. Bailey Liborn at Bailey Liborn, always out there, always contributing out on Twitter. Another game that as a whole is an out, but I will give an in to Woolen for being so good. He doesn't show up in the stat sheet outside of the snaps he played. I will say Bailey. Yep. On Woolen had that great PBU at basically in the end zone. Right. Nice break up there. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a Pollyanna when we're down 24-3 and the game ends 24-10, and I get back on something like this and I go, you know what? It wasn't so bad. But I look at it and I go, man, we kind of bottled up Mahomes, and besides the big Kelsey drive, we bottled up Kelsey and they didn't run the ball. And if we were better in the red zone or getting into the red zone, we hang in this game in Kansas City. So I didn't see the full on, it's a total out, but I do see a team that is very, very kind of probably the 14th or 15th best team in the league right now. And that's what I think we are.
Yeah, it's what we talked about going into this game in terms of the matchup. It matched up well, and Tariq being what he is, he shows up in the stat sheet in the way that he doesn't allow anything. I mean, he was targeted twice, allowed 1 reception for 6 yards, and he had that pass breakup in the end zone. So it was a really solid day for Woolen.
Yeah, he's awesome.
All right, we got up next Carlito of All Trades at Soul Rack out on Twitter, also giving an in to Tariq Woolen. Reek is indeed a freak. 2, defense was okay. And 3, Lions and Commanders, both of them taking the loss. Bonus, Clinton is definitely going to say Igwebuike correctly this week. Did we hear Clinton even try it? Because we did see a good return from Igwebuike.
We did. We saw number 38 Godwin with a great return. He had 2 good returns, 1 really good return, but he also dropped the ball. He also dropped a kickoff and put us back at like 7 when he was like sprinting up to the 10-yard line. No, so Igwebuike. I'm still, hey, by the way,
you gotta speed it up a little bit. Yeah, you're getting there.
Next week I'll speed it up a bit. I gotta get my paces. But the dude right behind me, that's him. That was a great photo of him from this week. So you don't make the board unless you do some cool things. So it's a Godwin. That's a bit of an in for sure.
We also have the outs. 1, I have to start complaining about refs. 2, Barton unblocked blitz fail. Although maybe not. Was there another blitz, or was that the one where Taylor?
I don't know which one that is. Yeah. I mean, like he blitzed on 1 and he flew by the quarterback, but he forced Mahomes out, and then Taylor got the sack. So I thought that was a successful blitz, but I'm not sure.
And 3, Ricardo Lockett looked terrible. So I'm maybe guessing that's a reference to Laquon Treadwell.
I guess that is. It must be. I know you and Adam talked about some of the ref stuff. Again, this is another one of those games where, but I don't think it's the refs that we could point at and say they won or lost the game. With that 3rd and 6, head bob by Blythe, that just did. I don't get it. It's like, it just makes 0 freaking sense. Like he just does center things and he's called for false start. It's like, no, you're allowed to move your head. That's like the piece that you're allowed to move. And Frank Clark was a half mile offsides, which is something that he routinely does anyway. So if you're going to give deference to one player, wouldn't it be the center who can move his head? Yeah, agree. All right, we got Chris Farnsworth at Chris Farnswar 14 out on Twitter. Chris is a good follow and really, really busy during the games, which I love. So I plucked out a few. He wrote out, my out for clock management still stands. We have 1 timeout left with 8 minutes to go in the 4th. That could be the ball game for us. The Seahawks still do interesting things with taking timeouts early in halves. And what else is new?
Ron Pepper hanging out with us live, saying in Pete Ball trying new things like adding all of the blockers, even if it doesn't work. And I think this is a reference to earlier on in the game where they had tight ends in the backfield and Walker ended up running into them. I think it was because it was bottled up so well by the Chiefs and you're getting interior pressure on the run, and Walker ends up running into the back of a dude. It almost makes me think that, don't put anybody extra in Walker's way because he can make guys miss. Like, why are we putting extra guys inside of the tackles for Walker to try and block? I'd rather see some of the pulling guys or see the tight ends on the outside to give him more space to make some decisions. But an end to Pete for maybe some creativity and Waldron as well.
Yeah, trying all the tries. The one that you are thinking that Ron is thinking about was Parkinson. So he runs right into the back of Parkinson. Parkinson's blowing off the ball. So they went back to the 13 personnel. Where they had success was back in the pistol. The pistol was back, and with the 2 tight ends flanked to right and left, and Walker, deeper. that actually worked pretty well. That was kind of cool to see that was back on the board and shining again. The biggest thing for us, quickly, if you had to like summarize like where has the offense gone off the tracks? It's, to me, it's, if it's one thing, is we no longer can boot because there's no respect for the boot.
For the run, yeah.
And once that was taken away, it's been tougher sledding where those, a lot of the easy stuff is no longer there. Now it's like a 3rd and 11 to Metcalf where he has to just scrum it over to get a first down. You're like, oh, thank God we got a first down, versus like, Disley just gently gliding over for 12 yards because it's wide open, because it's schemed well, because they got to respect the run, which again, back to Pete Ball. If they don't have to respect the run, we've got problems.
Will R coming in through the chat saying, what's your thoughts on rumors about Pete's future?
Well, I mean, I'll quickly say, I think the rumors of Pete's, death or demise are greatly exaggerated, right? To quote Mark Twain a little bit, or to paraphrase Mark Twain. No, this is, I don't think he's going anywhere. Not with this draft haul coming up and the centerpieces that are there. There are glaring holes, but to me, again, they're obvious. And you got a good culture. You got some money, right? Not saying we have all the money in the world, but salary cap wise, we got some money. You got a place people like to come and play because the culture's right. And you have glaring pieces that are like, okay, if we get a better linebacker, if we finally get the 3rd wide receiver, there are just pieces that are obvious. I think between free agency and another draft, they could be an easy playoff team. And I don't think Pete's going anywhere for that. So I think he stays. Brandon, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I don't know. Maybe are the Broncos interested in maybe trading some draft picks for Pete Carroll? That could be an option.
No, they're all out of draft picks. They're all ours.
No, they created Bradley Chubb. They have another
that's true.
round pick they could send our way.
That's true. You are right. That was a good trade, by the way, for them, because he's fine. He's not that good. Better than fine. Kevin Russell in the Facebook Ring of Honor says, in K9 getting a 100-yard game. Number 2, he says consistency from the defense, albeit poor, hopefully making it clear what the draft priority should be. We were just talking about draft priorities. Number 3, Geno taking the blame on the INT, showing leadership skills, more honesty than we got from Russ. We'll come back to that in a second. Out, no takeaways. Out, having to root for the Lambs. That was fine. And out, I miss Bobby. Bobby with the pick on Russ, and Patrick Starfish then dunking on Russ with the slime time. The Geno pick, I went back and watched that a couple of times. Not only on that play, it looks like there's a miscommunication with Goodwin. There's a play a little bit later where Penny Hart hooks inside, and Geno throws the ball to the post. And it's like, damn, if Penny just keeps going, I think that's in his hands. So again, you're missing Lockett, and it comes out in different ways. And I think these are some of the ways it comes out.
Kenneth Reyes with the seeing defensive changes coming out of halftime and getting multiple 3-and-outs.
Yeah, it wasn't, again, wasn't on the defense in this particular game. Brandon, real quick, will there be a game this year? Maybe we have 2 left. Maybe we have a 3rd or a 4th. Will there be a game this year where our offense and our defense both play B or B plus football in the same game?
No.
Probably not. All right, we got Right Hand Dan in the Discord now. Not a nook or a cranny, but Woolen. Hey, you want to call out Woolen? I got no problems with that. Right Hand Dan, love it.
Hey, going back to Pete, Tommy Eden says, only way that Pete is out is if he decides to retire. And I feel like we would have seen signs of Pete maybe even considering retirement if that was actually a consideration. So, that would be the only way. And it's likely not happening.
I thought just last year, was more of a possibility. Pete was like down last year. Yeah. He was way more sullen, did not have the vibrancy. Yes, this 1-5 streak stinks. He's still pretty darn positive Pete right now. Like, he could see the things that he wants to see. I thought if it were to happen, it was last year. And I think he's in for the next, I think he's in for this set of whatever this rotation is, and I'm with it. It's all good.
Boys biceps in the Discord saying out 2 guys with full body weight on Geno, no penalty. The play before, Blythe nods his head slightly, 5 yards. I try not to complain about the refs too much, but this catfish is ridiculous.
I don't remember the body weight piece, and I tend to hate those calls. Like hate. I realize it's a call.
I don't like it either. I understand it as a rule.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't a rule. I'm okay if the refs ignore it. I really don't care. But that's just me. The Blythe one, absolutely just unacceptable, just ridiculous. Carr out. I feel like our offense is really hurting without Lockett out there. Yeah, Carr. That is true.
Boy is biceps out. Santa is clearly a dick. Can't catch either, because as we were seeing on the Nickelodeon broadcast, Nate Burleson, for whatever reason, was calling out Santa, like saying to throw at him, but then saying, well, we don't know if Santa has good hands or not. Come on, Nate. We know that Santa has good hands.
Yeah, Santa has great hands. I mean, he's got magic hands, in fact. So, yeah, Nate, I agree. Do better. Understand that Santa could catch the ball if you throw it at him. So, all right, we got Flocktimus Prime throwing this out there saying K9 making the wrong decision every time he cuts. Now, this was at 2:33, so like PM. I'm on the Eastern time, so it's about halfway through the game. And I commented to Flocktimus in the Discord saying, I hear you. And the second half looked a lot better. And then K9 talked about, like, I think being a bit more decisive in the second half. And Brandon, not sure, do you have a take? Do you get frustrated when he's doing all the jump cut stuff versus kind of getting north and south?
It can be frustrating. I think that he's recognized that, though, and made that adjustment going into the second half. So if it's at least there in his mind, then I think if he can pick and choose the moments where that could be beneficial, then we could see it be a better part of his game. But yes, being more decisive in moments, especially first and second down, where you're wanting to, win 4 or 5 yards is great. And 1 yard or a 0 yard gain because you can't make a decision is not great.
Well, and sometimes it could be the -3 or -5, right? Which is like, those are killers. Or we run on 2nd and 10, then it's 3rd and 12. Like, oh, Madone. I think I have a solution though, Brandon. I think we bring back Adrian Peterson for one more ride these last 2 weeks. He just shows K9 how to do it. And then K9's amazing as we do head into the playoffs, and he runs away with it when we win the Super Bowl.
I don't think he needs any help, but I like where your head's at.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Ovary Smasher 69 of the Discord in. Miles Adams tackle on 3rd and long on Casey's first possession of the 4th quarter. All hustle. You love to see it.
Yes, always loving some Miles Adams talk, especially when it's from Ovary Smasher 69, maybe the greatest name in Discord. Jeanbo, she says, not a nook or a cranny, but the use of timeouts in the second half was trash. More game management woes. Jeanbo calling that out.
Frost with the out. Losing hurts us right now. In, losing helps us in the future. In, Stone looked like he was actually getting some push. Out, Stone's penalty killed the drive that we needed. In, going for it on 4th down. Out, going for it on 4th down.
Frost with the sober yin and raging yanging all over the place there, right? So the embodiment of the ins and outs. I was me personally, I did not have a challenge or a problem with any of the 4th down decisions. I liked the aggressiveness. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I was all for it. And even after the game, the way the score played out, if they get 7 in those situations where they needed to, they're in the game at the end rather than it being 24-10. So I think at the time I like the decision. I know there was some concern that when it was 17 points, it could have been 17-9 maybe at one point. But a couple of those, I think with the wind, I heard the pregame that they were looking at getting to the 35-yard line for the field goal kickers to really feel comfortable. And both times they were going for it on 4th down. It was kind of in that, especially those first couple, it was in that 30 to 35-yard range on the field. So I think it was just right at that edge to where Jason Myers was feeling comfortable.
Yeah, you're kicking inside a dome, different story. You're
Yeah.
kicking 15-degree weather in Kansas City, and then it is what it is. And so I was okay with the aggressiveness, not so much with some of the play calls where we're throwing behind the sticks. Like that happened twice, right there. I know there was one to Parkinson, and I think there was one to Treadwell later, where it's like, man, if you're gonna throw to the sticks, then you got to get to the sticks. You got to at least get to the sticks before you throw it, or like the receivers got to get to the sticks before so they have a shot at it. So that was disappointing that there was a couple of times where we were throwing a couple of yards behind the sticks on fourth down. It's like you don't like it on third down, and it's basically unacceptable on fourth down. So that wasn't quite cool. I'll roll on though. We got designed Pete's Beach House, which of course is Amy. She goes out. Frank Clark not getting a penalty for trying to cut out Gino's knees. He's a thug. In not keeping Frank Clark. I'd rather lose with good people than win with a thug. So obviously Amy's not pulling punches. She don't like some Frank Clark. That play, yes, he's getting blocked a little bit from the back. I agree with her. I thought it was a little bit, at the very least, flaggable. I've seen way less. And I'm the dude who's like, nope, he's still in bounds. Like, nope, I'd rather let him play. Cool, except for the quarterback's knees. Like there are, like there's pretty clear rules about that. I didn't think he was getting blocked so heavily from the back, Brandon, that Clark could have like had to go at his knees. I still think it was somewhat intentional, which to me is like automatic flag.
Yeah, it was just going back to the officiating. It seemed like it did lean one way or the other to where, like the DK penalty, it was ticky tack. If they're going to be ticky tack all day, then this would have been one to, and not even saying that it would be ticky tack. This
Right.
was a flaggable play, and they didn't call it on the Chiefs. So
Yep.
very weird. But Rising Hawkra with the in Seahawks defense improved in DK, K9, and Forsythe.
Not bad at all. We have Amy back with it again. Designed Pete's Beach House. I like this. This is a little stat she threw out there from at Seahawks PR. In today's loss, wide receiver DK Metcalf set his career high with 86 catches and posted his second 1,000-yard season. I think folks forget he's 4 years into an NFL career, and I think folks forget, or they expect him to be Justin Jefferson when he does not need to be Justin Jefferson. He could be DK Metcalf and still be extremely effective for our team. So 4 years in, his best catches of all time, and in a year where they're like Lockett and DK, they're gonna poop the bed because they don't have a quarterback. Well, he just broke his career his career records. He's got 2 games left, and he's not going to be silent for those 2 games. So good on DK, and heading into his 5th year next year, let's see him turn it up even one more level, because I think he can be elite. Would love for him to take that leap, but I kind of get defensive when people get on DK for not being Justin Jefferson. I'm like, he's just not him, and that's fine. But he's a darn good wide receiver, and he's our guy, and he's the dude, Brandon, that when you need someone to be a little bit angry. And football, sometimes you got to get a little bit angry. He's the dude out there who will stir the pot, and I think that's I think you need that on your team in some way, and he's our guy.
There's one thing that I enjoy about players, and that's knowing that they care and that they want to win. And I never have that question with DK Metcalf. Like, I know he has the passion. And does it maybe come out and get him in trouble every once in a while? Yeah. But it gets other teams fired up too. The way he blocks on some of these plays, you see how frustrated some of the defensive backs get because they don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And so, they'll get up and start pushing too. And sometimes that creates a flag. But you could tell that DK Metcalf enjoys football. And I like to see that. You
enjoy DK enjoying football, and I enjoy you.
I do. Nice. And I enjoy Ron Pepper enjoying the fact that the video for the new worst game ever video is out over on That's Good Sports. So if you haven't checked out that series by Brandon Perna, Broncos fan out on Twitter, he has been chronicling the Denver Broncos season and the Russell Wilson saga this offseason, and it has become the new to the 10th power worst game ever every single week.
It's pretty great. It is pretty great. All right, take that last one, Brandon, would you?
I will. Lloydzilla saying, we weren't awful. A few decent defensive acquisitions, and I genuinely believe we will be genuine contenders. We may have lost last night, but Santa brought me a cool Seahawks mini helmet.
Nice. And he sent the picture over in Discord. It's, you know what that helmet needs, Brandon?
A head?
It's a mini helmet, so my brain went to like Beetlejuice, like the little shrunken head guy. That's funnier than my answer. My answer is going to be like a nice silver autograph.
Oh, okay.
You know, because it's a nice bright blue, the dark blue helmet, so it needs a nice silver autograph on that thing. So maybe Lloydzilla will be able to get that. And this is a new beanie I got from Santa, and I got showed you earlier, a new green screen that actually covers the whole area. So
hey.
that was also from Santa. So I was grateful for that. And it was fun. It was a really fun Christmas. Happy to be with family and be around some good people on Christmas Eve. And I was okay that I had to cut out at 17:03 to go to someone's house, and I was able to catch up later. But it was fun. We were inside a shed with a wood stove. Football was on the TV anyway, sitting there with Buffalo fans and 49er fans. And the NFL is say what you will about it, it's pretty special. I'm sitting in a Christmas Eve party in coastal Connecticut, and inside this shed is probably 20 people and probably about 12 different legitimate NFL fandoms within 20 people that all live in Connecticut, by the way.
Right.
And there was only like 2 Patriots fans, which that's a bonus too.
And then say what you want about the NFL, but hey, they got it worked out. They know what we want over the holiday. They give us games all Christmas Eve day. They give us games to fill up Christmas Day. It was a weekend of football that we got to enjoy too. Now, if we could just land Christmas on the weekend every single year.
Yeah, I mean, that's not so hard to do that. I listened to a podcast not that long ago that I think it was in 1752. A good chunk of the world left the one calendar that Caesar had put in place and took on the Gregorian calendar that a pope had put in place. And they literally lost 11 days. Like 11 days was wiped out. They're like, well, we got to go by this calendar. And they had to shift everything to like 11 days less. So if they could do that in the 1750s and get the word around the globe in 1750s, well then, yeah. Brandon, I think we could get football on every friggin' Christmas Eve and Christmas and just shift it so it's always on the weekends. Let's go already.
We observe other holidays that land within the week and shift them to the weekend, right? To celebrate them on certain days. We can,
listen, I think it's okay. It brings people together.
I know with my kids, we'll have birthdays on the weekends if their birthday lands in the week. So why not Jesus?
Who's doing stuff on a Wednesday? Who's doing stuff on a Wednesday? Come on, you can't even play football on a Wednesday, right?
Exactly.
All right, and with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.